friends, welcome to Bronze Medal Moms, where we aren't going for gold, we're going for bronze on the daily. I'm Amy.
And I'm Amanda, and we're here to remind you that you don't have to be perfect to show up, survive, and even thrive in motherhood.
Welcome back to Bronze Medal Moms, the podcast for moms who are doing their best, but maybe forgot it was picture day.
Or the mom who swore their kids would never eat in the car and now treat the back seat like a mobile snack bar. Hi, I'm Amanda.
And I'm Amy, and today's episode is dedicated to the humble pie we've all had to eat since we became parents. We're talking about all the things we said we would never do as parents before we actually became parents.
And I think this is this first one, always such a hot topic with the baby stuff. So, like, brand new parent, always hot topic. Do you sterilize everything or not? What were you?
Oh man, listen, I was the perfect hypothetical parent. When I was pregnant, not only did I plan to sterilize everything, I made us buy a brand new dishwasher because I could not stand the fact of washing bottle parts in an old, dirty dishwasher.
There's a small chance of mold, a small tiny chance of mold. So I think, I'm very one. I liked the bottle brush. Like, I was big on that. Um, but I didn't really go all out unless it was given to me to do. Like, my mother-in-law was super in to sterilize everything. And so she would get me those like pouches you put in the microwave. Like, you put the bottles in the microwave and then you microwave it and it sterilizes it. And then with our last baby, because like, even if you have a baby every year, the stuff out there is completely different the next year. It's
Right.
like earth-shatteringly making your life easier the next year. So the last baby, someone had bought, or they had finished it, and it was like a bottle sterilizer, and it was some fancy brand too, I forget. But we were like, heck yeah, we'll try it. We didn't try it once. We didn't even use it once. And then we gave it back to, it was our neighbors, we gave it back to them, and we kind of felt guilty. We're like, do we lie and be like, oh, it was so great? And we're like, honestly, we had it on the counter. We never even used it. And they're like, we never used it either.
Well, it's the perfect example though, because when I was pregnant, forced a brand new dishwasher. I remember being pregnant. My dad came down, helped my husband install it. I was like, okay, now I can sterilize everything. Had the baby, distinctly remember one day looking over and she is chewing on a teething ring, but I'm like, I don't remember buying that one. And I get closer, it's actually the dog's toy. I'm like, that works. So I definitely
Hey,
was.
dog's mouths are clean.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, of course, I was like, hey, kids who have dogs, they need dirt. It's good for their immune system. It's great. So I definitely was this different hypothetical parent in the sterilizing before I actually became a real life parent. 100%.
I feel like you go into it with all these hopes and dreams of, Snow White perfection of everything looks. I don't know if Snow White actually is sanitary with her seven dwarfs, but you just go in with all these hopes and dreams, and then you get there and you're like, yeah, that's fine.
So that the next big one that I was a perfect hypothetical parent on was, should I sleep when the baby sleeps? So when you were pregnant, did you think when baby's napping, that's when I'm going to nap? Like that's the perfect way to do it? Or did you not really think about it?
Oh no, I thought when the baby napped, I was gonna get so much stuff done. I was gonna fill out that beautiful baby book, or I was gonna, write thank you cards, or the house was gonna be so clean. It was always gonna be pristine and clean because she was gonna nap for like 2 or 3 hours a day, twice a day. I was gonna have so much time on my hands.
So true. It's so true. And then you become a parent.
No, no. Especially like being back to sterilizing, you're cleaning bottles, you're cleaning up the house, you're like trying to you didn't sleep last night, so you're trying to catch a nap here or there. You're trying to do something that makes you feel sane for a hot second. I mean, no.
No,
And
well,
you get a baby that doesn't nap. My last baby didn't nap.
oh yeah. Well, my baby napped, but when I became a parent, I did one of two things. One, I was either so tired, I was like overtired that I couldn't nap, but I also didn't want to be productive. So I would just like sit in the rocking chair watching trashy TV while she napped. The other thing I did that I said I would never do is I knew she was going to be our only one. And so anytime she napped, I held her.
Oh, you wanted to cherish it.
I did. I did. I mean, that kid, even though we bought this beautiful, fancy, modern, expensive crib, she was never in it, ever.
No, cribs are the best for putting laundry in.
Oh, see? So what
Folded
then,
laundry, they're so great.
when you were a hypothetical parent, then what did you think about sleeping with the baby? Co-sleep or sleep train? What did you think you were going to do as a hypothetical perfect parent?
Okay, hypothetical perfect parent totally thought sleep training.
Yeah.
And I will say this, I always before I had kids, I volunteered in the NICU. That's my jam. I'm a nursing school dropout, if y'all don't know that about me. And I always wanted to work in the NICU. And so since I'm a nursing school dropout, I volunteer in the NICU. And in the NICU, you don't want your babies to be in the NICU, but man, those nurses know what's up. They get that baby sleep trained. So I went into this knowing how to sleep train a newborn to get him on this 3 hour cycle. No.
Like, I'm a pro. I'm going to be like the best parent ever when it comes to sleep.
Oh my gosh, not at all. It didn't work that way at all. And I was like, I don't understand how this isn't working. And it just no, the 3 hour window, it went right out the window. Like it did not work at all. And I always had her in a bassinet. And I remember we tried to sleep train one night and she screamed so loud that when I went in to get her, she had broken out in a rash on her face because she was so sad and like so worked up. And I just like fell into my husband's arms and I was like, we're never doing this again. And he's like, nope, I agree. We don't sleep train. She can
Yeah,
sleep with
yeah.
us forever. Nope.
Meanwhile, all the sleep trained parents were like, oh, you should have just been held strong and it would have been fine. But like, listen, one thing I know about
Nope.
broken metal moms, you got to do what works for you in that moment. And
Yeah.
we were very also into we're going to sleep train, kiddo's going to be on a schedule. We both worked full time. Like we had to be on a schedule. Like we had to get up at a certain time. I had to leave to make my commute to drop her off at daycare. We had to be on a schedule. Well, then, once again, because we were working full time, we were both exhausted and we could not be up all night to sleep train or to deal with the crying or so what did I
No,
do?
you were just trying to get sleep.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? Us being well rested trumps her being on a schedule. So I put her right in bed with me.
Yeah. I
Totally.
will say I never had babies in bed with me, but and that's like newborn. I was a big fan of the bassinet. I actually had this bassinet that I really really liked.
Yeah.
Um, but I love baby snuggles. Like I really feel like again, to each their own, you do what works for you. But I do have friends that they're like, no, I've never let my kids in our bed. That's our bed.
Yes.
They have a bad dream, they can sleep on the floor or they can sleep on the couch in our room or
Yep.
something like that. But they never let them in the bed. And I trust me, there are times when it's Chris, me, and three kids in a bed that I'm like, good Lord, why did we start this? Everyone, there's too many legs. We're all too tall. Everybody get out of the bed. But at the same time, like I love the snuggles. I
Yeah.
love it. I love that. And I have no regrets.
Yeah, but
Snuggling
before
my
I
kids.
became a parent, I was like, nope, not happening. Not happening. And then real life hits. The other one that I was thought I had figured out because this was a hypothetical that I had even after I became a parent. It was when to start solid food. I remember, like, okay, I had a plan. It was going to be 6 months. You were going to start it with veggies because if you start it with fruits, then it's like too sweet and then they won't eat the gross veggies, right? Like, I had this
Uh,
whole plan laid out. And then my daughter decided she didn't want to eat anything at 6 months. So we didn't start solid foods. I don't think we started solid foods until she was almost 10 months old. She just had zero interest in it. And I was like, well, all right, all that planning goes out the window. So then by the time she was ready to start solid foods, I didn't care what it was. She could have snatched a French fry out of my hand to suck on, and I would have been totally fine with that.
well, you would have been excited
Yeah,
because you'd be like, win.
finally, finally.
I will tell you, I do feel like I followed, the quote unquote rules that I tried to stick to it with my daughter, the first. And she would always, though, she was such a messy eater. Like we always had to do a bath afterwards. So it would be all over her face. But I'm not kidding. My bookends are both picky eaters. My middle son, he's so chill. I will tell you, was born vaginally and born yawning. He did not cry. Like he is just the most chill kid. And everyone that knows him is like, yep, that kid, nothing bothers him.
Yeah.
He eats everything. It's awesome. But the bookends, we have a 3-year-old right now who still is surviving on pouches.
Yeah.
Those little pouches. He would eat anything. And we've tried, like, we went back to the high chair with him just to keep him in a confined space of like, you have got to try a chicken nugget. You've got to try one bite of something. He had a pretzel stick last night, and my husband and I reacted like our mortgage had just been paid off. We were like, oh my gosh, it's the most amazing thing ever. He had a pretzel.
Yeah, definitely not something you ever thought before you became a parent. It's so true, though. So
No,
true.
but I don't know. I say that, and then my daughter is still a picky eater, and she's
But you
11
just
and thriving.
yeah, you just like all of our like bronze medal soon to be moms. Like I love that you have a plan and you think you're going to do all this stuff and you may be able to stick with some of it, but most of it's going to go right out the window when the kid decides how they're going to do things or life happens and life hits you or things you don't expect. I mean, one thing that I was a hard no on is that I would never bribe my kid.
But can you go in the back? Why? Why do you remember why like that's going to be so damaging to their
Right,
psyche?
that's what I thought. I was just thought, no, like I would never bribe my kid. That seems right as a hypothetical perfect parent, it seems kind of shady, and then they're going to have trust issues, and then they're not going to learn to do the right thing on their own. They're only going to do it for a bribe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then you realize and you're like, yeah, but if you just eat, I mean, it's the same as with the eating. That I'm like, you can have phone time if you try one bite of chicken nugget.
Yeah.
That it's
Well,
like,
yeah.
that's how you get the chicken nugget.
Right. Well, I mean, potty training. We did it for Yum Yums, which were M&Ms. I mean, so like right out of the gate pretty early on, I'm like bribing potty. And then I can remember, I don't know where we came up with this, but we gave like one M&M for number one, two M&Ms for number two, right? But my daughter learned it and she potty trained really early. I don't even think she was two yet. And she learned to do math in her head though very quickly. Because she learned if she did both at the same time, she'd get two because it was a number two. But if she would go number one, she'd get one M&M, and then if she'd go back 10 minutes later and do number two, she'd get two. So technically, she got three. I'm like, it's not bribing; it's a math lesson. The
You're
other
like,
thing,
and she's potty trained and she can add.
and she can add. I mean, I'm like, now I'm like the best parent. But the other bribe I said I would never do was I would never bribe my kids to like eat two more bites, eat two more bites
Oh
because
gosh, I do that all the time. All the time I do
well,
that.
well, listen, I do that now, but at the time I was like, no, because like I grew up and my mom and I were just joking about it last night. Like if you take it, you eat it. And I have so many stories of like sitting in the kitchen with 2-hour-old
Yep.
Raisin Bran cereal with milk. It's like tripled in size, and I couldn't leave until I ate it all. And so I always said I would never do that to my kid. I would never say you have to eat all that or you have to take 3 more bites. But then it's actually now, I did it last night. It's actually harder for me as she's gotten older. When she was younger, girlfriend ate anything. Like we did the baby led stuff once she finally started eating solids. She would eat anything, broccoli, salmon, anything.
Oh,
Now,
I remember you telling me that she would ask for salmon for like lunch, and I was like, who is this kid?
yeah, yeah. Well, now she's gotten older. I mean, she hasn't eaten a green vegetable since like 2019, I think.
Should have time for that.
Yeah, she didn't have time for that. But literally last night, she wanted s'mores. But I was like, well, yeah, eat your hot dog first, then you can have as many s'mores as you want. I said, you don't even need to eat the bun. I need you to have some protein. We always eat protein before or after sugar. And she just didn't want to eat the hot dog. She took like one bite. She's like, I'm going to make a s'more. Keep in mind, she's almost 12. And I said, you have to take 4 big bites of that hot dog, or you
Of
can
that sodium packed hot dog.
yes,
Eat it.
yes, eat it. So I'm like, oh my gosh. Definitely, moments as a parent that you swore you'd never have, but here I am living it.
No, I 100%. I think I always kind of knew I was going to bribe my kids
See, I love it. You're
because
on the other end of the spectrum.
because I have the same memories growing up, sitting at the table, which I think that was just kind of how parents did it back then. But I have this story I remember so vividly that we're very young, but we're sitting at the table, and my mom had made beets for dinner, and they were in this silver dish. And nobody likes who likes beets? Nobody, not children. Children like beets. And she had made these beets, and my sister was like, "I'm not eating those." My older sister, she's older than me. It's just us two, and she's like, "I'm not eating those." And my mom was like, "You are eating. You're going to stay at this table until all of these beets are gone. No one is leaving this table until all these beets are gone." And my sister grabbed the bowl, ran outside, chunked them into the street, came back in and was like, "They're gone now." And I remember the look of like, "Oh my God, she's going to be killed. This is the end. They're going to kill her." Then my next memory, I remember my mom being like, "Ugh, here's a bowl of Cheerios." And just like moved on. And I think because I remember that, I always have this mentality of like, I don't know, eat something. Just put something in your body. Put
Yeah.
something in your body. And probably that's why our baby is still living on pouches. But,
My
he'll get there
husband,
eventually.
yeah, my husband actually has a food trauma story, which is another reason that we wanted our daughter to learn to taste different foods and get into the habit of trying new things, but we never wanted to force her to try something she didn't like because he was forced he was a kid. He wasn't even like little. He was forced to eat green beans at dinner, even though his dad knew he did not like green beans. And so Steve threw them up all over the table. And his mom looked at his dad and said, if you ever do that again, like you're going to be the one cleaning it up. So we definitely had some 80s child food trauma coming back that helped inform some of our decision making.
Well, but then also I read this that they said this isn't specific to children. It's just people of all ages, that your taste buds actually alter every 30 days.
Oh, wow.
So it's just like naturally what your taste buds do. And then your taste buds get used to what you're giving it. So if you're giving it the same foods over and over again, it's going to just want those foods each time. But it's not wrong to like every 30 days, try something new. You never know. Because, yeah, my daughter now tries stuff and she's like, "Oh, that's good." I'm like,
Yeah.
"It's good."
Yeah. I've been telling you for 10 years that's good. So here's another hypothetical.
All right.
You were a hypothetical parent. How did you think you would handle public tantrums?
Okay, so I have to be a unicorn here and people will hate me. But my first two kids never had a tantrum. Never public, home. They're just weird, awesome, chill kids. Now, that being said, I also, love the dollar bin at Target and always got them like, sure, we'll do this, have a little something. Like goes back to the bribery. Like if you
Right.
you act right, you get that $1 treat,
Right.
something like that. But they never had tantrums. And so I always assumed like I wouldn't put up with a tantrum or you just leave or whatever. And then they didn't have them and I was like, "Sweet, my life is amazing." And then that third kid comes in and holy
Oh,
shit.
yeah. It's that surprise baby that makes life interesting and throws out every rule you thought you knew.
It is like a bipolar person with his like happy 1 minute and then ragdoll screaming on the floor. Like it is unbelievable. I have good stories about him, but what about you?
Well, so I thought I would be the parent that, yes, there'll be public tantrums, but my husband and I were both really big on talking through emotions. I think maybe because we both grew up in the era where people didn't talk about emotions a lot at home. So we were
Yeah.
really big on, oh no, we're going to talk things out. And from like the youngest, I mean, as soon as Adelaide was born, it also could be that we have an only child, but we talk to her like an adult and we really wanted to talk about emotions. So we thought public tantrum, we're just going to pull her aside, we'll have a conversation, we'll see what's happening, we'll solve it, it'll be great. I can
And then we
remember.
both began to laugh
They
and
laugh diabolically. I can remember. So in 2018, for our listeners who may not know or forgot, my husband and I sold our house. We bought a big RV and we traveled the US and Canada in 2018 and 2019. And Adelaide was 4 when we started the trip. So I distinctly remember we're at the National Zoo in Washington, D.C. to see the pandas and we're having a great time. We saw the pandas, and now we're at one of their little outdoor playgrounds. And being an only child, outdoor playgrounds with other kids is a big deal.
sure, yeah.
Yeah. And when we lived in the RV, we told her, listen, you're going to have to get really good at making friends quickly because we may not be there long enough, right? So you got to make friends right away. So she would go right up to a kid on the slide. And I remember one time she said, hi, my name's Adelaide. What's your name? And, my name's Little Johnny. Great, Little Johnny. You're going to help me get to the top of the slide because you're taller than I am, right? Like, really good at making friends.
These
So,
are such great skills for her though. Like
such a
that's an awesome early skill for a 4-year-old to learn.
Right. Well, she's having a great time on the playground. And I happened to check the camera that we had in the RV because we had our 2 dogs with us. And through an app on our phone, we had cameras. It was climate controlled. We could control the heat and the AC and everything. And I look on the camera and I see our 80-pound blue Weimaraner on top of the kitchen table, barking her head off. She's not in her kennel. And I
Uh-huh.
see everything on the counters in the RV all over the floor. And I'm like, oh crap. I'm like, we got to go. I said, Steve, I said, Lexi's out of her kennel. We have to go. She could destroy the RV. If we could get fined, if like she's barking at the neighbors, like sometimes you can't have dogs that bark like that in an RV park. I said, or worse, she could ingest something and it'll be a huge vet bill. She could really hurt herself. We
Oh
have
my
to go.
gosh.
Yeah. Well, Adelaide did not want to leave that playground where she just made friends, and she starts losing her ever loving mind, crying, screaming, yelling, no, kicking. And we were like, you know what? We don't have time for this. So we literally, Steve picked her up in the football carry, and we're like running out of the National Zoo, heading towards an Uber. I mean, if anyone thought we were stealing a kid, this would be a moment because we didn't drive the Jeep. We took the subway and then Ubered from the RV park. And it was one of those memes. Have you seen the meme where it's like, if I wanted to steal a kid, this is not the one I would steal? Like that in that moment. But that's how we handled that public tantrum. There was no, let's talk about this. Let's have a rational conversation about what you're feeling and why we need to go get Lexi in the RV. No, No.
Right, 'cause there's no
That,
time because
no
as
time.
you're being calm, the
No.
RV is being destroyed.
Yeah,
Our
it's like
home.
a fire drill. We got to go, go, go.
So I have this one. It makes me laugh so much. So Raleigh, my surprise baby, he has like a lovey, and it's this little dinosaur named Bob, and he needs him for nap time at school. They're allowed to bring a lovey for their nap time at school, and I bring all the kids like when me and the three kids walk into school because I work there, so I've got my stuff for work, my lunch for the day, three backpacks, three lunches, a nap mat. Like it looks like we're going to Europe for a week every single morning. It looks like a total shit show every single. I know it does, and I know other parents were like, "No, no, it looks great." No, 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 it doesn't. You don't have to. You don't have to fake it for me. But so this one particular morning, all of a sudden, my daughter goes, "Where's Bob?" And she said that to be kind, like, "Mom, I don't think we have it." But Raleigh heard it and goes, "Where's Bob? Where's Bob?" And I was like, "Oh, crap. We left him at home." And I was like, "Hey, bud, Bob had to take a nap at home today, but he'll see you after school." He lost his ever-loving mind. Keep in mind, I want you to picture, we are in the entryway of the school. Other parents are coming to drop off their children. My 2-year-old is full ragdoll, screaming, kicking, losing it. I'm like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. So we live literally 2 minutes from the school. And so I called my husband. He hadn't left for work yet. And I was like, would you bring Bob by the school? Please. He is losing it. I just need to get him to daycare, move on with our life. If this stupid dinosaur is here, our day will be better. Of course, my husband is pissed. He's like,
I got time for
"Right."
that.
He's like, "I don't have time for this. I want to drive by the school." Granted, again, it's 2 minutes. It wasn't that big a deal. But he's pissed. And he's like, "Fine. Ugh." So he goes by the school. As he's walking into the school with the dinosaur, the security guard stops and was like, "Hey, bro, glad you're here. That's really bad in there." And Chris is like, "Wait, what? Really?" Two other parents are like, "Oh, thank God you're here." And he's like, "How bad was it?" I was like, "It was so bad." I wouldn't have called you if I thought I could handle it. I couldn't handle it. Sure enough, dropped off Bob, went out the rest of the day. But like, that is a quintessential. I'm sure people are like, no, you need to teach your children disappointment and they should learn disappointment for the first time at home and stuff. But the tantrum was so bad.
Like,
There was nothing else to do but just give him what he wanted and move on with life
yeah, you're
for
like,
the
this is not the
whole
time.
crew. Yeah.
This is not the time for a lesson. We'll
Yeah.
learn that
It was
another time.
there was no time for that.
Yeah.
No time for that.
Yeah. Forget it. Forget it. Well, the other one that I was such a perfect hypothetical parent was how much screen time is too much.
This this is a hot topic. It's a hot
Oh,
topic for so many people of all ages.
yes. Well, and there is research that goes behind it. So, like, I get it. Very hot
Right.
topic. We don't want to get controversial, but personally, I was going to be very no.
Can we say like the research is there, but do you choose to ignore research or just move forward?
Right, right. And I, as a hypothetical perfect parent, was like, I don't need screen time. I mean, and we did have, I will say, when we went out to dinner a lot. And again, I only have one, so like mine is a little skewed in my parenting because I only have one kid. And if she was like the easy kid when we'd go out to dinner, I had like magnetic blocks. I had all these little like things that would stick on the table.
Sure.
And so we going out to dinner didn't need screens. However, at home, I distinctly remember she is young enough, like she's still in the newborn phase, and she's still like up, middle of the night phase. And Yo Gabba Gabba was
Oh gosh, I remember that.
for that. It was the only thing one night that would get her to calm down and get sleepy and go to sleep. And so I sat in front of that TV with her in the rocking chair watching Yo Gabba Gabba over and over and over until she went to sleep. And that's when all my preconceived screen time rules went right out the window.
Right. That you're like, but this is what we had to do.
Yeah, I'm
Now,
like,
I
she's under
remember
two. She shouldn't
being
be in front of a TV, but mama needed it to keep her sanity that night.
because if she doesn't sleep, then mommy's not going to sleep. Then it all goes to crap tomorrow. No, like you did what you had to do.
Right.
No, we had so Rue and Roger are 2 years apart. So Rue, honest to good, I mean, y'all are gonna be like, your kids suck because my first two were so easy. Rue had no interest in screen time. Like she loved to go sit in her room, organize stuff, read books. I mean, totally different topic now with our 11-year-old, but she didn't really care for screen time, so it wasn't a big deal. We only used the screen time because we did a lot of trips to Dallas back and forth when my mom was sick.
Yep.
So that was the only time that we would do the screen to like put on a movie or something like that. But other than that, she didn't do a lot of screen time. Roger, the same when they were little, nothing big. Like once they hit two, we had found all these like educational games and things like that that we were really gosh, what was the educational there's a
ABC Mouse.
what is it?
ABC Mouse.
ABC Mouse. That was it. We got ABC Mouse. Everything was great. It was so educational, so great. And so they were allowed this screen time during the day, but it was all education based. Then that third baby. This is coming to the fact that you have three kids and you're trying to give your undivided attention to all of them, which is absolutely impossible. And Raleigh was, I mean, 4 months old, and Roger was playing basketball, and Rue was playing volleyball. And if I didn't give Raleigh the phone, he would scream and have a tantrum because he wanted to be on the court with Big Brother and Big Sister. That's all he ever wants to do is be just like Big Brother and Big Sister, which is super common for the third baby. But if I gave him the phone, then I could, and it was usually Hay Bear. He loved Hay Bear, the little bouncing things. And they said Hay Bear was sometimes good for them. I don't know. But if I didn't give him the phone, I wasn't able to watch my older kids and their sports.
Right.
And so they'd be like, Mom, did you see that shot? No, your brother's losing his mind over here. Like, I didn't want that. And so, yeah, Raleigh's been, and I was thinking about it actually when we were talking about this, about bringing this up on this podcast. We have not downloaded any of those apps for Raleigh.
Yeah.
He's just watching kids' YouTube. I was like, we really should download ABC Mouse for Raleigh. Like he would love it. He'd think it's so great. But I was like, what are we doing? I
Yeah.
just like folded in with the third one.
Yeah, you're like it's I heard once and I just thought it was so hilarious and I can see how it's so true even though again I only have one, but I saw somewhere that for your first child you make the homemade organic baby food. For the second child, you're like, forget that. I buy the pre-made non-organic stuff at the grocery store because it's faster and cheaper. At the third baby, if you find them sneaking a Cheeto off of the ground, you consider it their lunch.
Do you know what I think? Actually, my brother and sister-in-law, they're wonderful people. I absolutely adore them. But they did this for every baby, and it made me laugh so hard. For every baby, they did cloth diapers.
Oh, kudos to them.
No, no, but then I should say for every baby they tried cloth diapers
Okay.
and then realized how bad it was. And then when the next baby came, they're like, no, this one it's gonna be different. And we're like, no, it's not. It's gonna suck. And then for the third one, they're like, we're gonna try it again. And you're like, well, you shouldn't because it's gonna suck. But
That's
I was like, you know what? Kudos to y'all for at least trying every time to save the planet. But
I love it.
like, no.
I love it. I love the idea, but I knew myself. I mean, I didn't even save baby clothes if they had a blowout on them. Ain't no way I was going to be saving a diaper and washing it if it had a blowout. But like,
Oh my
kudos to
gosh.
them. I think it's great. That's so funny. That's also how I ended up with 7 air fryers because I kept trying it and I couldn't figure out the whole air fryer craze. Like my husband and I could never figure it out. We're like, okay, it's got to be us, or maybe we're not buying the right air fryer. So we just kept buying and returning and trying all these new air fryers. And by the fifth one, my husband's like, "You're seriously not buying that again to try it." I'm like, "But everybody loves air fryers. Like, what's wrong with
Have you seen these recipes on the reels? They're amazing.
us?" So funny. So the last one, and then we'll close out this episode. As a hypothetical, what did
Mhm.
you think about when can you leave the baby with a babysitter?
Okay, so I do have a really big opinion on this one. And I got this great advice from my sister. The more you wait to leave the baby, the harder it is. So I actually, one thing that I do for a lot of new mom friends is I go over and make them go get their nails done with me. Like the baby's a week old.
Oh yeah.
And like I'll watch the baby. It'll take you 45 minutes to get your nails done. It's right down the street. Nothing is going to happen. You gotta leave. And it's like ripping that band-aid off makes it easier to leave for several hours and stuff like that later. But my sister did that for me, that she was like, I'm watching the baby. I have children. I know what I'm doing. And I'm like, but it's not the same. And she's
Yeah.
like, go get your nails done for 45 minutes and come back. But
Yeah.
that being said, there's also, I think, a big difference with like family watching your kids. Like that's an easy thing. And I remember I always used to think, well, like, oh my gosh, the world is such a dangerous, scary place. I will only let family watch our children. And then that went out the window really fast.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I was the same because I grew up, I was very fortunate to have grandparents that lived here and they always watched me. And my mom even had the conversation yesterday. Like, she was like, I never had anyone watch you that wasn't family, which is great. Like, she used it as like a badge of honor, but we don't have family in Texas.
Mhm.
So, and I worked in crime scene investigation. So I assume everyone is a serial killer unless proven otherwise. But we had to leave our baby with a sitter if we wanted to get out and keep our sanity. Um, so I can remember Adelaide's first sitter happened to be her little toddler gymnastics coach. I figured,
Really?
yeah, I was like, she really likes her. We go see her every week in this little toddler gymnastics class. I know they have already background checked her and fingerprinted her. So I asked her if she would babysit, and she did. And she was Adelaide's babysitter up until she got married and had her own kids.
How fun. That's smart though.
Yeah.
Thinking because they're already background checked.
Yeah.
That's a smart way to find a sitter. No, we were very blessed. Chris's whole family is here, and Chris's siblings, it's just a myriad of boys that they've had. There's so many boys, so many grandsons. And there was only when Rue came into the world, there were, I think, trying to figure it out. Yeah, there are five grandsons and one granddaughter. And so the fact that it was another girl, my mother-in-law like loses her mind.
Right.
And my sister-in-laws too are like, oh my God. I mean, everyone loses their mind because baby girl clothes. Why not?
Right.
So my mother-in-law helped out a ton in the first year. Um, but I remember with Raleigh, um my mother-in-law was helping out my other sister-in-law who had babies and they lived closer, so it just didn't really make sense, and we had to like put up an ad and be like, hey, who wants to nanny? And we ended up finding a friend's nanny, but it was a total stranger
Yeah.
that now has become a dear friend, and we love her. And we did have a nanny for Rue too, and now she's a dear friend, we love her. But but I laugh too that you're talking about, like, I love your idea that, they're background checked, they're all that, like they do that with anyone who enters our school is background checked. Um, I have a vivid childhood memory of swimming in the YMCA pool in the summer where it's like, 100 million degrees in Texas. And the YMCA pool was right down the street from our house, and we would walk to it. And my mom was in the pool chilling with her friends, neighborhood friends, and she would just talk. And then my sister and I would, frolic and play with the other kids. I remember diving underwater and swimming to the edge of the pool. And when my head came up out of the water, I heard my mom say, "You seem real nice. Do you want to watch my kids tonight?" A total stranger, a total stranger. And sure enough, I remember her name was Havana, and she watched us that night. And I still, to this day, I, my mom had no, I asked my mom this later. Havana watched us. We had so much fun. I thought she was so great. For some reason, she never came back. And I don't know why. And I asked my mom later in life, I was like, why did something happen with her? My mom was like, I have zero idea what you're talking about. And I was like, dang it. I always wondered if there was like a juicy story of like you came home and it was her and her boyfriend while my
Yeah.
sister and I were asleep or something. But yeah, total stranger at the YMCA and watched us.
I love it. I love it. Well, bronze medal moms, whether you're steaming those pacifiers in your brand new dishwasher or you're wiping them on your jeans.
Whether you're co-sleeping, crib sleeping, or everyone ends up on the couch, which also happens in my house.
Yes, there is actually no one right way to parent, whether it's your hypothetical perfect parenting or your real life parenting.
Exactly. There's just opposites all the time. Everyone's got their opinions with little loved ones and a whole lot of snacks.
So thanks for hanging out with us today. And if you've got a things I said I'd never do story, DM us on Bronze Medal Moms. Check out our website, bronzemedalmoms.com. We may end up laughing about yours on our next episode.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for listening to our moms on Bronze Medal Moms.
Don't forget to subscribe, share with your friends, and leave us a review. We'd love to hear from you. See you soon.